Hey everybody and welcome. This is Brian from Work to Game, and today we're breaking down all the details for Final Fantasy XIV Eureka, the Forbidden Land of Eureka. So they start off with this, obviously this PowerPoint presentation highlighting a few notes. We're going to talk about this. We've got a lot of notes ourselves, and then we actually have gameplay of Eureka, the world and what's included. There's a lot of really exciting things. Honestly, everything they showed has me more excited than ever for this type of content. At the same time, still obviously questions remain. Hopefully we'll be able to address those, have that conversation, and go from there. So just let me know in the comments below if you guys have any questions, if you see anything that I miss, anything like that at all, because this looks to be some of the most unique content that they've designed for the world of Final Fantasy XIV. Kind of as a preview, if you're coming from Final Fantasy XI, there seems to be a lot of Final Fantasy XI kind of inserted in here, obviously with a little bit of a modern twist related to Final Fantasy XIV. So first we know that this is a untamed world where the elements are constantly in flux. Elements have a huge amount of power and and focus for us. So you can see that it is instance content. Up to 144 players can occupy a single instance. Players are obviously also encouraged to cooperate with one another. Later in this, we're going to see that you can put up a party finder. In fact, if you're in a party, you can disband, you can form other parties. They're going to let you kind of really play around in this world. So you can see that one of the highlights is that you can disband and you can join other parties at will. And the system is all about this alternate form of progression, which they highlight as well with the magic wheel, and we'll dive into that with the elements themselves. So let me go and jump ahead a little bit. So you can kind of see an image here of the elemental magic wheel, lightning, fire, water, ice, earth, and wind. And then you have obviously Magicite being a very thematic thing within Final Fantasy, living in the world of 11, coming obviously from 6, maybe even in prior games, but I would venture that at least I remember first seeing it in 6. And then it looks like right now they have one Magicite slot, which they can then insert at Elemental level 1 with 1000 XP to go of Elemental XP to do the next level. So this wheel can be spun, and we're gonna show that here as well here in a little bit when he shows off the gameplay. So, a couple things to note. With Eureka, players' strength is measured by their ability to endure and harness the elements, represented in their elemental level. All players begin at Elemental 1 and may obtain a maximum elemental level of 20. So that's really interesting. And we were wondering if you can trade in some things like that, like you can go play around with it. There is a, a death penalty that is reminiscent of Final Fantasy XI. And so we'll dive into that here as well. It looks like they kind of skipped ahead a little bit too far. Elemental XP can be gained and is affected by the number of players in the party and the difficulty of the enemies that they defeat. So this is very akin to like wanting to group up, probably tackle the hardest level enemies in the game, and then coming back and then obviously getting the best rewards for it. We'll have to see like what's the most efficient way. I know players will go in and play and test around with this. Alright, so the magic of board and Magicite, we talked about this a little bit ago. The board can be used in conjunction with Magicite to strengthen the player's affinities with the 6 elements while exploring the Forbidden Lands of Eureka. And you can see that elements both have a strength and an attack. So as like the things that you can defend against and the things that you can do magic against. Let's go down the list here. So stronger affinities given elements will increase the damage a player deals to certain enemies as well as reduce the damage that they receive from others. And then you can spin the Magitech board. That way you can kind of have those various elemental affinities. And you can see here the elemental of water is for this monster. Let's jump around here. So you can see here within the bar, you can tell what type of element they are. And then whenever targeting, you will see if you have an advantage or a disadvantage against that with an attack or with the defense. And you can see that lightning is better against water, water is better against earth, and so on and so forth. And then you have the wheel itself. And obviously using these elemental wheels to your strength is going to help you be more effective against all of these enemies themselves. So let's talk about KO. Alright, so when you die, if you're raised within 10 minutes of dying, you're not going to suffer an XP penalty. Furthermore, you're not going to suffer this XP penalty if you're below level 5. After level 5, you will get that XP penalty. After level 11, you're going to see that it's going to actually give you a level down, but you have to be over or at level 11 at that point in time. So now let's dive into seeing some actual gameplay with Yoshi-P. It looks like Kugane is the area in which you go into first, and then from there you can queue up into Eureka. So let me just kind of fast forward here. So you have a Eureka NPC, and then he's going to go ahead and say yes, and then he's going to queue in. And in this case, it was Instapop. So now he is in the Forbidden Lands of Eureka. We'll let him run around here for a little bit. So you can see somebody with the weather, and he says that it's sunny, which is very interesting, that it rarely is sunny in Eureka, and I don't know if that's necessarily by design, but you can see weather, repairs, you can see a shop, you see the Aetherites, and then you obviously have the Aethernet as well around here somewhere. So he's just kind of going on a tour, and look who it is. It's our good old friend Geralt. If you're not familiar with Geralt from 2.0 and 3.0 has been the guy who has been building out our relic weapons. And so he has made his way here to help us make our stuff, to help us make our weapons and forge our armor and gear. And they're going to show off what that looks like here in a little bit, but it looks like he's got his trusty furnace. So this is going to be interesting. I really cannot wait to see how this is all incorporated into the whole system in and of itself. Looks like there's a lock picker, so it looks like lock boxes might be coming back. If you guys aren't familiar, within the diadem you have lock boxes. Kryl is here as well as an NPC. She's kind of a part of the trailer for this, so I'm sure that it's going to be something that kind of drives the story in and of itself. Going and checking out the shops, obviously like I said earlier, repairs. You can go and find lots of detail and information here as well. So he says the shops pretty much have just their standard type of things like items and potions and things of that nature. So it doesn't look like anything's too overpriced, but for the most part, it seems pretty straightforward. I'm wondering, I don't know yet at this time, but it'd be cool to see if these have a different impact on you based off your elemental affinity wheel as well, but no word on that yet. I'm guessing no. I'm guessing it mostly has to deal with who you're fighting. You can actually see that as a part of his eye level or his elemental affinity, he's at level 1. You can see that up here, BLM 1, and then he's got 0 of 1,000, and then he's actually got 5 points, 3 in earth and 2 in water currently. That's important to note. I don't know if that's going to be how it is or if he's just typically in God mode. And they're also now here showing off the map itself, and it actually seems pretty big. Like if we kind of let it get to where he is zoomed out. Sorry about that. And pause that. So it looks like we have a couple of different Aetherites here listed, a lot of the different high points, and then some unexplored lands as well. So it looks like a pretty decent sized zone for the most part. Obviously 144 people running around here. That might get crowded. It could be very interesting. Maybe a lot of shouting going on. I don't know. You tell me at that point. Let's go ahead and jump forward a little bit. So he's going to go for a little stroll. We're going to check out some monsters. Check out this guy's. Like, okay, you look at this twister. Actually, it's not really looking good paused. But you look at this twister over here in the corner. He just keeps moving the camera. That looks so visually cool, right? I am really impressed. Now, here's what we mean by the elemental wheels itself. You have the attack, and then you have the defense. So here is a water type monster. And so it's showing you've got a better increased defense against water. You don't have essentially an attack advantage because of the thunder here, because right now 3 points are listed in the earth slot. So he's kind of showing this. You can drag this around. This is something that they said that this can be rotated so that you can kind of try to find the best attack and defense as well. You got some Pugils over here in the distance. These are really cool looking monsters. I haven't seen these yet. If they're already in the game, then oh well. But yeah, it's really cool that you can see that. Let's go ahead and jump ahead a little bit. So he's okay. Here we go. So now he can rotate. You can see you got the bar that's going down here. Once that's set, it kind of locks it in place. And these are so many, you only get so many spins, and there's a cooldown to get more spins. So you see that it's set, and now you have a bar up here that's slowly filling up. That's going to go like around the whole thing, I guess, to give yourself another spin. But now he's got an attack advantage against this enemy, has no defensive advantage against this enemy, and then Earth is just sitting over here for no other reason. So you can see that, yeah, he's talking about the same thing I just was talking about, how that is filling up oh so slowly. There, and this is just a level 1 enemy, so let's go ahead and jump forward a little bit. Okay, so now he's going to go show off the magic wheel. Now, if you guys weren't aware, this is back in town, so he runs back into town, and here's the magic wheel that they kind of showed off, and you can see that he's got these points here, and he's going to go and reset it. You can reassign all your points that you have, and you can also spin the wheel here. This does not account against you as a part of those like rolls. So anytime you can get to one of these, you can completely respec. What's really cool to point out is like you can see the percentages right here. So he's got 152 and 172, so 72% advantage against lightning at that point for just those 3 points listed there. So now he's reset it. So let's say he wants to put them all into fire, which is what he's going to do. He's got 100% attack and defensive bonus for fire, and so that's really interesting from an elemental perspective. Now, at some point, like again, the maximum level is 20. So if you think about it, 5, 10, 15, 20, you won't be able to necessarily, I think, spec all the elements to 100%, but it's going to be really interesting to see how that plays out and how long that takes as well. Like what kind of length and grind is this content designed for? So again, he can keep spinning from here, and he's kind of just, displaying that. And then obviously the arrow that you can see here, if I pause it, the arrow that is at top of it is where he pretty much started at the top of it. So that way you can kind of get a good idea for your position. And once this bar fills down again, it's going to lock into place. And as long as you do it before, you're good. It's locked in. If he selects the wheel, if he selects this magic thing, this actually resets, and it kind of ignores the cooldown of the total reset itself. So there's going to be some strategy here. Obviously, they want you to be able to change your elemental affinities for your attack purposes, but they don't want you necessarily to to completely have to redo everything and have to kind of play around with that. So now here he is selecting the wheel, and then when they go back, you're going to see that he's got 5 rerolls for his elements as well. So this is, I'd love to know your guys' thoughts on this specifically. This seems very exciting, very intriguing as a system as a whole. So we're going to go jump forward a little bit. So now he's going to go show, he's going to play around with the HUD there. But so now here he is trying to get some anger and some hate. So he's going to go and decide to pick on 2 of them. If you look at just the basic auto attacks with no defense that he's got listed, 2,500, and 6 just for your basic auto attacks. So for a black mage, that's a pretty powerful auto attack, and it's something that he's not going to be able to last that well. And then here he is running back into town. And it looks like they're still chasing him and giving him pursuit. So they do eventually disengage, which actually I'd love to know your thoughts on that. Originally they're thinking that monsters wouldn't disengage, but maybe I guess they're worried about monster player kills. But here they are in town. It looks like that one finally just disengaged. This guy is still still on top of him, and it looks like Yoshi-P is about to die. And let's see here. This is just crazy. So now he's in actually God mode. So that's just a level 1. So like 2619 for your basic auto attack. He's eventually going to disengage. So let's go. He's running north here, guys. Look how beautiful this is. Look how beautiful this world is. This zone looks incredible. And so here are some monsters. It looks like we got some level 10s, some level 9s, in that regards. So let's see. Oh my gosh, like 56,000 HP, 57, 59,000. Here's some level 10s. Obviously, we've seen these enemies before as various bosses in dungeons. 53, 63, 57. There are some big numbers. Obviously, Yoshi-P would not survive this. And a 1 to 10. So these guys are not right now giving up pursuit, and they are just hitting him like a ton of bricks. Obviously, a tank, somebody who's got better gear, is going to be able to more survive the affront and the assault here. But it still shows you that this is going to be a dangerous world. So it's important to bring friends, and we're gonna highlight that here in a little bit. So we're gonna let him run back. Okay, so now they're gonna dive into how gear works. So while exploring Eureka, players are going to be able to obtain protein crystals. These crystals may be used to obtain and enhance Eureka gear and weapons with the aid of Geralt. However, in order to fully upgrade Eureka weapons, players will need to obtain different items from notorious monsters found somewhere in Eureka. So it seems like there's going to be a lot of boss hunting as well. They did talk about there's no real claiming system, so anybody can really kind of jump in on the fight. So I'm wondering to see if these NMs, are pop, if the whole zone is like, hey, let's all go do this together. Depends on the difficulty of the NMs themselves. So Yoshi-P is actually showing that you have a player search function built into Eureka, so you can go and find other players, and you can actually set your status, and he's going to do that right here. So he can set his status. You can actually do this in the game right now. You can set your status for looking for party, but not a lot of people take advantage of that. There's no real value in it. I've always asked that. I wish they had just a kind of a quick command where you could just kind of click or say something and say, hey, like put me into looking for party status. Maybe we'll be able to macro this. Ideally, that would be the case. And if that is the case, that's going to be something that's heavily recommended, because if your party disbands and you still want to spend time in Eureka, you can do that. It does show you your remaining time here. So you are timed. And that's, I guess, going to be important, because if someone's only got like 5 minutes remaining, maybe they should just re-queue back into into a new instance. It is weird that there is a time limit on Eureka that they're showing, and I guess that's based off the instance nature of the content. And I don't know how you guys feel about that. I honestly, when I first saw the timer, I was like, well, if they're encouraging us to continue to stay in, that just seems a little strange. Now, 164 minutes is quite a lot of time. It just seems that obviously that there's going to be some kind of threshold in which that, depending on the amount of time it takes to spend in the game, that we're going to have to, I guess, hey, you get 30 minutes. This is obviously content that we're going to be doing for the next hour or two. Maybe you just want to re-queue or something like that. It'll be interesting to see if that ever gets increased or if they adjust that as well. And so let's see here. All right, here we go. Look at this yellow mage, aka the red mage. You can see the weapon, and it looks like obviously the gear is dyeable, because we can see a blue mage right here, guys. Obviously, I think trolling us for a little bit. But anyway, it still looks really cool. The weapon looks amazing. This is, again, where we're going to get our relic, weapon, and armor. And so the Forbidden Land Eureka has exceptionally powerful enemies. Players will need to cooperate with others to defeat them, and if they succeed, you're going to get a significant elemental XP as other rewards. And if you're not aware, guys, it looks like we've got the Scorpion Harness from Final Fantasy XI. It looks like they're also highlighting the boots. Very coveted stuff. This was very coveted stuff in Final Fantasy XI, and it's really cool to see that kind of throwback brought into this world, in which that they're borrowing a lot of key concepts from Final Fantasy XI as well. If I jump forward a little bit more, that's kind of where they're wrapping up. And then they're kind of showing off this for the break. So guys, oh my gosh, Eureka, right? Let me go ahead and just put it back here so he can kind of run around while I talk to you. So one of the things they talked about within the Land of Eureka is this new void. And that's going to be something that I think is just really going to be very exciting to see. I cannot wait to jump into this. So they say that's coming with patch 4.25. Pretty much thinking March 6th, around that time frame. This is going to be where we spend a lot of time in upgrading and progressing, and it's really exciting to see. Now, this kind of obviously feels different. It feels, akin to Final Fantasy XI, so it's going to be interesting to see how successful this is. Immediately, I am now moving away from the kind of fears that I had with kind of a diadem, essentially 3.0, because I had to redo the diadem twice. However, hopefully this is going to be content that remains relevant as well. They talk about they're going to expand it, they're going to add more stuff to it, and that makes sense. As the game progresses, as new content comes out, as the relic weapon progresses, hopefully we're going to see this type of system play out and play out well. But that's it, guys. This is the breakdown of Eureka, what we know, what we've seen. I'd love to know your thoughts. Sound off in the comments below. Let me know what you're thinking, and let's have that conversation. I'm going to go put together a little summary of the live letter as a whole. I just wanted to make sure I made a dedicated video focusing in on Eureka. And again, like I said, I'd love to know your thoughts. I cannot wait to hear from you. Let's have that conversation. And again, it's not that much further until Eureka launches. So a little bit over a month now. So, all right, guys, for Work to Game, my name's Brian. Thanks for watching this video. I hope to see you in my next. But until then, I hope you have a fantastic week. Take care.
Thanks for watching. YouTube has a pretty cool video waiting for you over here. Our latest vlog is down below. For those of you new, subscribe is over here. And all of our other contact info is just right below me here. Thanks for watching.